Okay, you guys, you know I love hip hop. And even though we're coming off the celebration of last year's, the 50th anniversary of hip hop, we still got a lot more to discuss, especially when it comes to women in hip hop. And my guest today is going to handle all of that, Nadirah Simmons, right here on The Frequency. What's happening, y'all, and welcome to another episode of The Frequency. I'm your host, Dee Barnes. Now, like I was telling you, you know how much I love hip hop, and we have to talk about women in hip hop. My guest today is writer and founder of the Gumbo, a space that she created for women who love hip hop. And she's also author of a new book, First Things First, which is all about women in hip hop and the ladies who changed the game. Yes, Nadirah Simmons, welcome to The Frequency, sister.
Hey, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so excited to be here. You know, there's a chapter about you in the book because you are one of those ladies who changed the game. Yes.
Oh my God, I'm so honored. I'm so honored. But first, we're gonna back all the way up because I want the audience to know who you are because your resume is incredible.
Thank you.
I'm serious, yo. All the things that you've accomplished, and I really want the audience to get to know you because one of the things I find fascinating about speaking to any guest is finding out all the little things that help take them on this path and their journey to where they are right now. Everything that led you to writing this book. So first we got to talk about, where did you grow up? What area?
I grew up in South Jersey in a town called Burlington, right outside Philadelphia. It's technically a Philadelphia suburb. I learned that a few years ago and I was like, that makes a lot of sense. So that's why I remember I went to New York and I said water, and they're like, what did you say? And they're like, where are you from? Are you from Philadelphia or South Jersey? I'm like, yeah, I definitely am. That's where I grew up. A lot of Philadelphia influence, but also a lot of, love for Jersey and learning about house and Jersey Club and all of those influences there. But yeah, South Jersey has a very big impact on me.
Okay, so when did you fall in love with hip hop?
I would say my dad always tells me that when I was like 2 or 3 years old, I was in the back of he had a red Nissan Altima, and he would play Imaginary Players by Jay-Z. And I was really, really little. And he was he's like, you knew all the words. He's like, that's probably why you talk so much now. He's like, the way you were able to pick up the words. He's like, you would just be in the back, in the car seat jamming. So I think that for me was it was always something that was a part of me. And even when I think about my upbringing, hanging out with my dad's dad, he is from Philadelphia. He was so big on Philadelphia soul. He also loved hip hop. So I would be in the car with my dad listening to rap and listening to, hip hop soul and all those different songs. And then I would get in the car with my grandpa or come to his house and hang out. And he would be playing like the songs that sampled them. So I'm listening to a lot of Philadelphia soul artists, listening to Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, listening to the Temptations, listening to Phyllis Hyman, listening to Teddy Pendergrass, and I'm able to make those connections. So I think that for me was really like, wow, I love this music. And then on top of that, my uncle, he owns a barbershop in South Jersey. So being in there and hearing the hip hop debates from 5, 6 years old. My dad owned a hip hop clothing store for a while in South Jersey as well. It was named after our area code. So I would go with him sometimes to the different showrooms where he would pick out the different clothes from the different hip hop fashion brands. So it just kind of all connected. And I love TV. So I would watch the variety shows and see the performances and interviews. Yeah.
I got to jump in there for a minute because this is amazing to me because listen. You named your father, your uncle, grandfather. I think these are all male. These are all men who love hip hop. Now, when you think about that and how it's reflective of women in hip hop and how women are treated and the misogynistic things that goes on in hip hop, I find it very fascinating that all of your influence were men. Now, did you guys have the discussion? Did they kind of censor music around you? I mean, please.
Yeah. The great thing, I think the great thing, and my mom, she's a huge hip hop fan as well. And with her,
okay, because you didn't mention mom. See? You didn't mention mom at all.
I would get all of the Yeah, so she's from Maryland. So a lot of the go-go and the rapping over, those beats and those songs, that's where I would
Right.
get that love for that from. So all of that was connected. And I think, growing up and being around my mom and dad, and if we're in the car, like I would be in the car with them and they would play a Little Kim song and they would play a Foxy Brown song and they would play, a lot of different things. And the one thing I always tell people this that I really appreciated about my parents, and I know your parents are not supposed to be your best friends, but my mom and dad were so instrumental in one, making sure things were age appropriate for me at whatever stage I was in my life, but also explaining things to me if things weren't cool or if they felt like something was foul or if somebody said something in a song and said, hey, this is inappropriate and this is why. And as I got older, the conversation might have opened up a little bit more to, okay, now I can give you a little bit more detail because I want you to still be able to enjoy your childhood and your youth and have context for things, and you'll get more context with things as you get older. But I definitely think that, when I think about the misogyny and misogynoir, like I have conversations with my mom and dad to this day about stuff that we'll see happening. They're like, that's dead wrong. And this is why. And I remember having those conversations when I was 10 and when I was 7 and 15 and when I was 20, so they always kept me in a good space to let me know what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, the stuff that people are doing that's just dead wrong, and also how to navigate within those spaces. Because, sometimes you love something and it has those parts of it where you're like,
exactly,
this ain't cool, dang. And I'm really thankful for mom and dad for that.
Oh, absolutely. I got to give them props because I disagree. I think your parents should be your best friends. I really,
I
agree with that. And those of us that are lucky to have that, it's a definite, you can see the difference in the grounding of that person's, whole structure, their whole personality. I was raised by a single mom, but she's my best friend. And
I love that.
We had those conversations a lot too. And I grew up a little bit in New Jersey. So have some that was more up, Lodi, New Jersey, and Patterson, New Jersey, which was, Teaneck, New Jersey. So, we kind of moved around, but I was definitely, so I got that Jersey influence. So when you were going to school and high school, for instance, or thinking about where you want to go to college, what were some of your influences? Like what brought you to that stage of saying, I want to be a writer? Or did you know you wanted to be a writer?
Yeah, well, I definitely think even when I think about my dad saying you were just born to talk because when you're 2 years old, knowing all of the words to this Jay-Z song. But my mom and dad, they always said that I would just be good at journalism. They were like, you love history, you love to learn, you love to share history with people, you love to talk about things, you love to engage in dialogue with people about a lot of different things. So my mom and dad were very much like, you should be a journalist. Like that should be what you do. And I remember I wanted to go to Penn State, got into Penn State, and conversation that happens with many of us kids where your parents are like, that's a little too expensive. Like we don't know about that. And I wanted to get out of Jersey just because I'm so interested in seeing the world. There's so much happening. There's so much to do. So I really wanted to get out of New Jersey, saw a few other schools in New Jersey because I knew I wasn't going to Penn State. Didn't like none of those. Kind of really didn't like the other ones that I had gotten into. And it was a week before you had like the deadline. Like you got to decide if you come in here or not. So my parents we're going to go to Rutgers. Like, let's go, see what you think. And I was like, I'm not trying to go to Rutgers. Everybody in New Jersey goes to Rutgers. Like, I don't want to go.
I applied to Rutgers too.
Misty, I was like, I do not want to go here. But I got there.
I think it's something in the water to make you apply.
Literally. But I got there and I loved it. I was like, this is amazing. The journalism, the Sky School is what they call the School of Communication and Information. And they have the journalism and media studies major. There was so much, and Rutgers in New Brunswick, it's like its own town. So there's 4 campuses, technically 5, but Cook Douglas is 1. You have to take buses to your class. So like, to me, I was like, this is really cool. This feels like kind of what I want. I want to be close to New York City. And while I was at Rutgers, I did Rutgers radio. I also did a little bit of sports journalism. I like VH1, Daily Show. And then I kind of got to a point where in my journalism classes, I always tell the story because I always remember it, but we were talking about how to accurately report on what's happening in the news. And I remember something that happens so frequently in this country. There was a school shooting. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I can't talk about this in a way that does not allow me to express myself and express my emotions. I think, there's a place and it's important to be able to give the facts, but it's stuff that I feel so strongly about. I know I can't sit on the news and just be like, and this is what happened and this is what happened. So that for me, I was like, literally my mom and dad were like, well, you love hip hop, so why don't you, think about that? And I thought about it, dabbled it in a little bit as well, but I also just I love late night. I love TV. I grew up watching The Daily Show, got to intern there during Trevor Noah's first season.
I know. I was like, wait a minute. You kind of like went by.
I know.
Daily Show, just drop Daily Show. You know what I mean? And then I know you went on to do with Stephen Colbert. So first, tell me about Trevor Noah, The Daily Show. How was that
experience? It was great. And I learned. Did this happen
while you were in college, or did it happen after? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep. While I was in college. So that was my very last semester. That was my last internship. And I would just get up and get on the train at 7 a.m. from New Brunswick, go to New York. And I think it was 3 days a week that I was there. But I just learned so much about, one, I loved writing, and I saw how writing, obviously you have to write for a TV show. So I saw how the writing was so crucial for TV. I also loved content creation, and I saw how they were doing their field pieces. And I also loved interviewing people, like all the different things that I loved about the world. And I loved about journalism. And obviously there's an entertainment element to it, but like, I thought that was cool. And that's what I wanted to do. So I got to really get like a crash course and like firsthand experience, really just seeing what was happening. And then when I, started at Colbert.
Hold on, before you start about Stephen, how did you navigate during the writer's strike? How did you navigate your career during that?
Yeah, the writer's strike was, it was very odd because I also went to LA to work on the book. So I was like, I'm going to get out of the East Coast. I want to hang out here and write the book. And I kind of saw LA in its fullness, and then everything immediately shut down. I think thankfully I was able to kind of navigate it in a way because I had prepared myself to not work for a year while working on the book anyway. And that timing coincided. But even when I would want to like get, like a small little job here, maybe I'll do this, like there was nothing. And a lot of my peers and a lot of my friends, it was insane, but it was also beautiful to like go outside and see people striking and seeing people like on the street coming together and to donate money. And I think a lot of people, and what I love, a lot of people thought they weren't going to get what they asked for or remotely close to what they asked for. And I think that's just something, even when I think about hip hop and musicians, is like, they'll really ask for what you want. And if you stick together and you go hard and you don't let up, like you can really get there. There's power in numbers and power in community. So it was very disheartening to see. And I don't think it should have gone as long as it did, but nonetheless, it was something that is going to have a lasting impact for a lot of writers and actors. And we're seeing other guilds and other entities strike too. And I think we need that.
We need that, definitely. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk to you more about, journalists right now, what they're facing, because there seems to be layoffs, happening everywhere. And what advice you would give to, journalists coming up after the break on the frequency, y'all.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their minds.
Some angry
a pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance.
We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Welcome back to The Frequency. I'm your host, Dee Barnes, and my guest, Nadirah Simmons. Please join me, writer, digital content creator, journalist, author. I love it.
I love having you intro. It sounds great.
I love it. I mean, because it's all true. You know, after the break, or right before the break, excuse me, we were talking about how journalists are facing all of these challenges right now with, you know, coming off the writer strike. We just had like a couple of months of you know, stability, and now like happening. What are your thoughts on what's happening in the journalism community?
I think it's so disheartening, and it's also very scary. Right. I remember when I kind of decided I didn't really want to do journalism full time. And one of the things that inspired me to start the Gumbo is because, you know, I was seeing a lot of my friends at, you know, in college and in school, and, you know, they're great journalists, not just because they're my friends, but they're great journalists, they're great writers, they're great at interviews, and they're not getting jobs. And if they are getting jobs, particularly the Black women, they weren't getting paid. So I'm like, how are you doing a job and then, you know, you're not getting paid? I don't believe in that. I'm like, that's not cool. Like, we're not paying nobody. So that really was what inspired me to start the Gumbo. I saved a year of my late show checks to kind of make that a reality and really keep some sort of, you know, writing and journalism afloat. But I think, I don't know what these companies are thinking in their heads. Right. I'm sure it's a money play, and I'm sure they want to, just like we saw a few years ago, we want to pivot to digital. We want to do podcasts. We want to do this, but journalism is so, so, so important. Mm-hmm. And to lose the ability for someone to go somewhere and read about what's happening. And I always think about accessibility. So I'm like, if somebody can't listen to a podcast or watch a show or consume media in a certain way, how are they going to be able to learn about something? And I also feel like there's a lot of money out here. So y'all, like, they have the money to keep these entities afloat. They're just choosing not to. And, you know, they want to move into a different direction. But to see like Pitchfork get absorbed by a bigger entity, to see Sports Illustrated just be completely like you're laying off the whole staff. And it's been happening for a very long time. But I feel like in the past year, like every time I open my Twitter or open my Instagram or LinkedIn, I'm seeing, hey, y'all, here's my email. I was just laid off. You know, let me know. I think the LA Times just laid off a bunch of people yesterday, too.
Yeah, they had to walk out.
Like, it is, like, it is really disheartening.
Yeah. And it really made me to realize that you also have to have multiple ways to have income, especially as a journalist. You have to have those different platforms. And speaking of platforms, I want to first start off and say thank you for creating that space. The space that I'm talking about is the Gumbo. So we're going to have the gumbo.net up on the screen. But basically, the Gumbo, you created this, you founded it, and you're maintaining it and created it like a safe space for, you know, for Black women to, you know, who love hip hop. And also, like you said, as a networking platform for other journalists, women journalists to, you know, maybe get their work out there. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
And so you mentioned like you saved your late night checks for this? Can you kind of whiz by that too? So after the Daily Show, you went on to
The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Yes.
Unbelievable.
I know, it's really crazy.
Give me your flowers. I got to give you your props. I mean, I don't know if you've been getting them, but I'm giving them to you today. So
thank you.
So you're welcome. Tell me about that. Tell me about that experience, because, working on a late night show, it's interesting.
Yes, it was. Honestly, the way it happened was so crazy. I feel like I was applying for jobs all summer. And this is something I always tell everyone I meet, especially like interns or younger people, like no matter what you do that job as like to the best of your ability. Do it amazingly. And at the Daily Show on Wednesdays, I think was my day, I was in the control room. And the control room intern has to make really, 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 like they have to make fruit plates. And I was like, when I go pick up my fruit and make the fruit plate for the crew, it's going to be the best fruit plate they've ever seen. When I sharpen these pencils, they're going to be the sharpest pencils. And I just wanted to do everything amazingly. So by the time I applied for, it was an apprenticeship program at the Late Show, a year-long program. By the time I applied for that, I got on camera to do my interview, and they had already heard about me from I think she's the executive producer, Jen, at The Daily Show. And immediately after that call, I got the position. So for a year there, I kind of got to bounce around through different departments and learn about the talent department and, learn a little bit about digital. And digital was really where I was like, this is great. I get to write and I get to work with Steven really closely, and I get to work with all the guests really closely. I get to create content. I get to be downstairs and, get the Instagram stories. I get to do a lot of different things. And I think just being there, especially you're working around all these people who are like legends, not just in the late night game, but the TV game, period. They're also, older. They've been around. They have so much under their belt. And the one thing I always say is I'm so grateful for everyone there is because they taught me so much, and they were always down, whether I like wanted to go to like one of the writers, like, hey, I have a question about a bit. They're like, okay, like come up here after lunch. Or if I had a question for Steven, hey, come in right after my meeting. Like everyone was just so amazing there and so great. And I think that helped me, even though I wasn't really writing at that time, that helped me want to create a space where, one, I could be a good leader, just like the leaders that I'm around. Two, I'm giving people the space to really grow, because I grew there from an apprentice, which was a year-long program, to literally staying and then leaving as a producer in the social media and digital department as social producer. So really getting the opportunity to just grow and be great. I know that, late night is hard. There's a lot happening. It's long days, especially when we do those live shows during election time. Like it is long hours and hard work, and just getting to be there and experience that and learn from them and getting to network and meet people. Like, why am I in a room with Robert De Niro? Like, this is crazy. I'm producing a bit like Issa Rae. Like, okay, cool. Like just the trust that they had in me as a young Black woman. That is something that I will never forget, and I'm so grateful for it. And I'm sure people see me, I sing their praises all the time, but I love all of them. There's so many names to name that I don't want to name any, because I know I might forget somebody, but yes, shout out to all of them and Steven.
This is what I'm talking about. Like all of these things that happen in your life that brought you to this point. And this is your first book that you wrote, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Your first book, and it's called First Things First.
Yes.
Congratulations. It's coming out on the 30th. Right?
The 30th. Yep. Right. Oh, yes.
Here we go. Hip hop, ladies that changed the game. Let's get into this. Let's get into this. First of all, the cover is excellent. Who did the artwork?
Thank you. So Monet Alyssa, I think is how I pronounce it, Monet Alyssa or Elisa, but follow her on Instagram, Monet_Alyssa. She is amazing. And my team kind of had like a whole Rolodex of artists. And, I was like, all right, let's find a Black woman. Like, which one's a Black one? Let's pick them out. And, they sent me like her website. We went through everything. And I was just like, this is great. This is really just like the design and the vibe that I want to capture. I want it to be fun. I want it to be exciting. I want it to be colorful. I want it to pop out. So so shout out to Monet.
Okay, so let's get into the book now. What inspired you to take on this particular subject? I mean, not just women in hip hop, but to address all of the women, the history of it, because I feel like especially during the celebration last year, like a lot of the history of women were not highlighted as much. There was a lot of inclusion, but it just wasn't enough.
I agree.
I want you to speak more than me about it. Go ahead. Talk to me about this book.
Yeah, I feel like first of all, there's so much more to do and to be done. And I want everyone watching and listening to this to know that we can do a hip hop 51, 52, 53, 54, 55. Right. Like we can do something every year. But I think for me, with the book First Things First, and kind of taking this idea of first, and not to really put it as, hey, this person is the best or the greatest. Because I think sometimes when we think about someone being the first, they're like, oh, well, forget everyone else that came after them. No, I really wanted to show people, for example, with your chapter, when we think about the ways in which women are able to host shows and interview artists and to have a space and to have a platform, a lot of people are watching older episodes of Pump It Up, and that foundation was laid from you being the first woman to do that on broadcast television. So I think just thinking about all of the foundations and all of the legacies, and a lot of times how much we do not know. Even, I'm from South Jersey, so I listen to Philadelphia radio. Lady B is like the voice outside of my mom and dad. I probably heard her just as much as I heard my parents' voices. And she's one of the first women to record a rap song. So when I think about stuff like that and just her legacy, and now she's a radio titan, a lot of people aren't able to make those connections. One, because they don't have the knowledge, or, because no one has told them about it. And and I've said this a lot too, as I've, talked to people about the book, is as a Black woman in America, like sometimes it's hard for me to figure out where I come from. It's hard for me to figure out what, my family history and my ancestors, or, whatever it is I want to know, because things weren't documented, things weren't recorded, or people were just like, oh, we don't need to record nothing about them. We don't care. And I think that happens so often within hip hop, especially when it comes to Black women in hip hop, is things aren't being recorded. And if a woman didn't, lay down a track, then should she be forgotten? No, especially because so many of these women are still here and still alive. Like, let's really make sure we are highlighting them. And I really wanted to do that with this book, is just kind of set the foundation for when you think about film, when you think about TV, when you think about journalism, when you think about the music, when you think about the Grammys, when you think about all these things, I want y'all to know the foundation for what we have today.
Okay, well, hold that thought right there. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to start breaking down the chapters and getting more into the book, because this is exciting.
Cool.
Right back on the frequency,
Thank you.
When you talk about Blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All the momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Back right here on the frequency. I'm your host, Dee Barnes, and my special guest, author and founder of the Gumbo, Nadirah Simmons. Please join me. we were just getting into your book, First Things First. And I want to say, first of all, thank you for writing this. I find it crazy that it's your generation that's really documenting our history. When you think about it, it could have been, the women that actually are doing the work. But we're so busy, and when I say we, I'm part of that crew, so busy trying to preserve our legacy. Yes. Or even let it be known that there is some type of legacy, that we're not even thinking past that. Well, I might as well document the history. There's only one in particular I can think of right now that's actually working on that, and that is MC Debbie D.
Yeah. She does not play. She does not play.
She is one of my favorites, one of my mentors. I love her and respect her so much. And when I got the opportunity to meet her, it was like a big deal for me, because a lot of people look at hip hop and they only see the generation, and which is my generation of, the Salt and Peppers, MC Lights, the Moni Love, the Tifas, the JJ Fads, the Oaktown 357s. They only see that, but they don't think about the generation that came before, except they always mention Shantae.
Yep.
They don't talk about, MC Shyrock. They don't talk about Lisa Lee, Debbie D, Lady B. You know what I mean? Yeah. Pebbly Pooh, the Mercedes Ladies. All of these women. And one of the things too, I wanted to say that sometimes too, when you're the first, there's so many challenges and roadblocks and things that happen, because you're navigating this territory for the first time by yourself. There might not have been someone else that you can follow in their footsteps. For me, a big influence, for me, was Downtown Julie Brown.
Yeah, she's mentioned in the book. Yes,
and I'm so happy about that. And I would watch her and see how carefree she was, and just like so comfortable in her skin, so cozy. It inspired, you know what I'm saying? It inspired me to feel that way too about doing that show for the first time, because I didn't have a woman that I could look to besides her, that was focused on hip hop. So now we have to get into what you were saying about pointing out all of these different women in different meanings. So let's see the book again. We can see the book again. Let's break down some of the chapters, please.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So we go, oh my gosh, and I have it right in front of me just because I don't have my hard copy yet.
I love it.
Yeah, I know. I got to make sure one gets here.
Right.
So we start the book with the beginning. So we go from Cindy Campbell to Millie Jackson to the first rap records that were recorded. The ladies
You mentioned Cindy, but go ahead and explain to the audience.
Cindy Campbell planned and promoted that first official hip hop party. I say official because there's a lot of discussion around, hip hop was prior to 1973. And yes, people did rap before that and a whole lot of stuff. Yes. But when we celebrate that anniversary, we go to 1973, we go to August, we go to that party. So I wanted to highlight Cindy. She's been getting a lot more love and people are really knowing about the story now. Yes, which I think is amazing. But I'm like, I'm not going to write this book and not kick it off with her and document her.
I love that you did that, because that's one of my things that I say all the time too. We talk about, DJ Kool Herc, much respect to him, but his sister.
Exactly.
The title. So I love that. Go ahead. I love that you broke it down.
Yes. So we go from Light to MC Trouble. We do interludes, which the interludes are some of my favorite parts of the book.
MC Trouble.
Yes.
You're gonna make me.
I watched the video.
That's my little sis. We were so cool, and losing her was devastating. One of the earlier ones of women that we lost in hip hop.
Right.
I was thinking of Miss Melody too.
Yes,
her too. Like those are the two big ones that we lost early in hip hop.
Yeah, and her chapter was sad one to write, and I watched a lot of footage of y'all two together too, which just made me very happy. Yeah, so definitely shout out to her.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, so we go to Courtney Sloan. Courtney Sloan's an interior designer. I'm not sure if a lot of people know about her, but I discovered her through research. And she designed the Vibe offices. She designed a lot of offices for music execs. She went to Rutgers, and I was like, this is really cool, and a person that you probably wouldn't know about. She also designed Queen Latifah's first home. Once Queen Latifah got her crib, she was like, I want you. I used to come to your showroom in Jersey City to hook me up, make my furniture. I was like, this is a cool person. Like, I'm going to put her in here. Yeah, so we talk about Wild Style, the ladies in and around that first hip hop movie. One of my favorite chapters, the next one, is Roxanne Shante. I know she's the subject of the first widely released biopic about a woman rapper, but then I use the second half of the chapter to talk about all the other women rappers that we need biopics on. Now, obviously, I could have written that for days, so there are still more, but I highlight the Mercedes ladies, a lot of the women we just talked about, and just trying to get their stories out there. So you're right after that, chapter 10, Dee Barnes.
It's so surreal to be talking to you about that and like thinking about me in a book. And I really want to thank you too for highlighting it changes the narrative, you know what I mean? Yes. Of having that you're talking about the show as opposed to talking about the incident, because everyone wants to bring up the incident and they forget about the history of the show. And that's so unfortunate. And I think that's something that happens to women a lot. So thank you for like correcting that and pushing it out there. It was the first broadcast hip hop show on a network station. It was an early show, an early network with Fox. You know, this is back in the days before, like right before Living Color came out on that Fox lot. I used to finish Pump It Up and then run to, you know, the Living Color set and hang out with Rosie. Yes, and you know,
she's in the book too. Yes,
and Rosie, she should be in there. You know, and I was on the set and watch the Fly Girls get down, and you know, the DJs and have the guests on. It was even sometimes too. Some of the guests crossed from Pump It Up over to In Living Color performing, so it was like perfect. You know what I mean? So
I just felt. Yeah. And even just for you, just thinking about you, and there are other chapters where, you know, there are certain things to address, but I'm like, I'm not going to leave Miss D's chapter with it. Like, she has done so much, and your history and your work is so important. And I wanted that to be, this is what we are talking about.
Thank you. I am so honored. I'm so honored. Yes. There's so many women in there. Please name some more. I know there's
so we have Big Les after that. Then we have Heather B, Sophie Bramley, Queen Latifah, Megan Thee Stallion, Eve, April Walker, Lil' Kim, Misa Hilton, ESG, Mary J. Blige, Missy Elliott, Gangsta Boo, Trina, Nicki Minaj, Danielle Smith, Honey Magazine. I talked to the founders of Honey Magazine.
I still have a couple of my Honey magazines. Yes.
Dizzy, I would like to see some.
I will share some with you for sure. Go ahead.
Yes.
You just really taking me there. Like,
yes.
In it.
I love it. Then we have Angie Martinez, Foxy Brown, Salt and Pepper, Da Brat, Miss Lauryn Hill, and Cardi B. And I just want to say, in the middle of all of these chapters, there are games, or also different asides where I mention different women. So at the end of the Big Les chapter, I do a whole breakdown of all of the Black women hip hop choreographers that you should know. So there are a whole bunch of names in there that even if you don't see them in a chapter, just read the book. Like they are definitely Mia X. There are so many people in there.
What's the game you're talking about?
So there are how many games? I think.
Are we gonna get cards? We need to get cards now, like from your book.
I know. I thought about that. Right? Yeah.
Okay.
That's on my list of things after we get the 30th out the way. But I wanted to do. I think one of the things I struggled with a lot with the book was trying to get every single detail in there. And I told so many people this. I'm like, yo, like my editor, he really calmed me down, because when you're documenting the history, sometimes you feel like I got to get everything and I got to be as up to date. And my editor was like, Nadirah, at some point you are going to turn in the manuscript, which I turned in July of last year. Right. And he was like, and something could happen the day after. And he was like, news can break, records could be broken, things could be said about a certain person. He was like, and you have to be comfortable with that. And you got to be able to just live with that and create the thing. So once I was able to get to that point, I felt like I was able to just like write and be free flowing, and then also kind of get the information in there that
did you do all the research yourself? Did you do all the research yourself? Wow.
Yes.
So journalist skills coming in.
Yes. And that was a lot. I was in the library every day for like the first 6 months.
What was your goal with the book? What was the whole reason you wanted to do it?
I wanted there to be a place where someone could have an archive of information. And I think a lot of those exist. I'm just a big fan of having different ways to access information. So, okay, you can go on the Gumbo, you can go online, but even though a lot of people have smartphones today, iPhones today, I don't know if everybody has the ability to go online and access that. Library cards are relatively easy to get. So, hey, maybe you can go to your local library and check out First Things First to read. I just wanted there, especially when I think about Hip Hop 50, and, I was writing the book during the second half of the book, I was writing during Hip Hop 50 and just seeing a lot of the celebrations and discussions and the talks. And I'm like, this is one, the things that are happening there are great. Of course, I feel like there could be more, but I'm like, what happens when I leave this event? Where can I go get this information? Where can I find this? And I just wanted to contribute, not necessarily to Hip Hop 50 because the book's not coming out during Hip Hop 50, but I wanted there to be a place where, hey, if you don't know about a Sophie Bramley and how she had MTV Raps prior to it being a thing over here in the United States of America, I would like you to know that. If you're not familiar with a Courtney Sloan, I think that is very interesting. And hey, there's so many ways and realms that hip hop touches. This is an interior designer and a woman who makes furniture, and she is so big in hip hop that she's doing all those different things. I guess that's the other thing too, is I wanted it to inspire. I wanted people to feel like, because I love hip hop, I'm a TV girl. I'm not really in the journalism space in the same way, but I wanted to show people that not only has hip hop touched so many different realms, but there are so many different women who are responsible for hip hop being in these different realms and different spaces. So that was the big thing. And then even when I think about the Big Les chapter at the end, because Big Les has done so much. And at one point, her chapter was so long. I was like, Nadirah, I wrote 20,000 more words than I was supposed to.
Type receipts for her.
Her resume is so long. So I decided to do a crossword puzzle at the end of her chapter. Nice. And instead of me giving you so much more, because you've already read a lot, okay, now I'll try to fill this in and learn. Because I also, so many, like I said, my hip hop memories in the car with my dad, or like in the car with my mom, or at home with my mom, she's putting a CD in. I can attach them to moments. So if you're filling a crossword puzzle and you see that Rap City now fills in a box, you're going to remember Rap City and Big Les in a different way than maybe if you were reading, a long paragraph. So there are games in there that are really fun.
You know what? I think it's so important to have this history documented, because there are a lot of women in hip hop now, this generation, the younger generation, who don't know whose shoulders they're standing on.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? And no disrespect, but they don't know the history of the genre that they're in. You know what I mean? Nope. And it's just like, that's mind-boggling to me. Like, how do you not know who came before you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's important. You got to know,
you should.
You got to know so that you can navigate your way through this career. You know what I mean? This culture. And that's another thing, too. People lose sight that it is a culture. It's not just...
Yes.
That's what I love that you covered, the break dancers, you've covered, the choreographers, you covered, the people that do the interior design. Like, these are things I didn't think about. Photographers. I'm big on photography, and women photographers that I covered that, they covered hip hop, and they took like the iconic photos that you see and no one knows their names. You know what I mean? So I love that we have this reference now. I think it's important. And it's something also that can translate into schools too.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love the idea. Yeah, right. And I love the idea that, also with the game, the cards and just the knowledge. I think it's important to have this history documented. And I think it's even more critical when it's, women documenting women. I think it's so thank you for your work. I mean,
thank you.
So I'm excited. I mean, you have all of these chapters in there. And when did you start the project?
So I started it July of 2022. So it was a full year.
What inspired you? What made you go, this is what I want to do. Like, I'm going to write it about this.
Yeah.
I had to be one like catalyst. Cause I know, the history. I mean, you have the website, the Gumbo, which is like safe space for us to go, and talk about it. But what was the catalyst that said, you know what, I'm going to document this?
I really feel like the catalyst for me is kind of in line with the Gumbo. It's just, and that, and also just being on social media and just seeing people post things that just aren't correct or don't have the full information. And I'm like, this person actually wasn't the first person to do it. And like, this person did not create this. So I definitely wanted to contribute to that overall.
See, that's perfect. Okay. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's in the future for you and, what's next. What's the next book?
Yes.
Frequency, y'all.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Back right here in the frequency with my guest, Nadirah Simmons, author, of the new book, First Things First, Hip Hop Ladies That Changed the Game. I absolutely love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can't thank you enough for the work that you've done, especially creating, the Gumbo, that safe space for women who love hip hop. You know what I mean? Because there's plenty of discussions online about it. And just you creating this space. Now, when is the book released again? On the 30th, right? January
30th. I can't believe it's about to be here.
Where can we order the book? Like where
you can order the book wherever you get your books. You can support your local independent bookstore. So if there's a bookstore you really like, please go there and support them, because I love a good indie. I love a good Black-owned bookstore.
Right.
But anywhere you get your books, anywhere you previously purchased books, they have it.
I love it. I can't wait to get my actual hard copy, and thank you so much for including me in there. It's just so
of course.
So humble that it just makes me like I'm blushing and laughing and thinking about it. But you know what?
You had to be in there.
Yes, you did that. You see Nash? I'm like, you know what? You go, girl. You did that.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And I think it's so important for us women to document our history. I mean, it would take your generation. Like I'm telling you, like a lot of these books that are coming out, a lot of things that's being documented.
I love that.
From the women that grew up in the music. What are you listening to right now?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I listen to so much old stuff. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I get, I mean, obviously I listen to any new Lotto, new Meg, new Cardi, new Nick, anybody that's coming out, I listen to the new music. But I just always, I love Lil' Kim. She's one of my goats. I always go back to streaming her. I love Missy. I think Missy is so amazing, iconic. I always listen to her.
So happy she, got inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, that was so amazing to see. And
so
recently,
amazing.
Queen Latifah just got the Kennedy honors. I mean,
it's amazing.
I love seeing women in hip hop get the respect, get their flowers, get their just due, because it seemed like it's taken so long, just for us to get that.
Very long.
You know what I mean?
Very, very long.
That's for us to get that recognition. So I'm happy whenever it happens, and I love seeing Black women like you, platform that. I wish you nothing but success.
Thank you so much.
So excited. Next it'll be, the docuseries. First.
That's what we're trying to do.
It'll be the docuseries first thing first, because we should celebrate this. It should be celebrated, and there's a couple of people in there too that I'm ashamed. Like, I was like, oh, I didn't know about that. So I think it's definitely something that's, we need it. We need it. You feel that space. You feel that space for it.
That means a lot coming from you, because you are the GOAT to me. You know so much. You've done so much. You've contributed so much. So if you say it's good, I'm like, we good.
It's good, y'all. And y'all better order it. You know what I'm saying? And we got to be talking about it on the Gumbo. I'm going to be all up in the comments. For sure. So
I will be there.
What's next for you?
I would like to take a nice little vacation, honestly. I'm like,
you can't take a vacation. There's no such thing.
I know. I'm like, just a nice little week away, go to the spa. So I'm going to plan to do that. And then, like you said, I do want to turn it into a docuseries. I would love, I'm just such a big fan of having things in so many different mediums. I want someone to be able to listen to the book. You have the audio book. You can read the hardcover book. You can get the ebook. And now, someone who might not have had all those things or even known that this existed might be able to watch this online or on TV. So that's kind of the next phase. And I also want to do a book on the intersection between hip hop and television. Those are my two favorite things. It's something that I just love so much. And
I love that idea, because I think about the influence that, television and hip hop had on me. Like, I remember, and mostly for me too, it was music videos, because I came up in that.
Yes.
So I remember we had I don't know if you remember Friday night videos.
No.
There was a show called Friday Night Videos, and it used to be hosted by Jesse and Angie from All My Children. Were they on All My Children? Do you remember? This is probably
I know All My Children.
Back in the day, so Jesse, they were the black couple on All My Children, and they hosted videos, like late night Friday night videos, you know what I mean? And then fast forward to Graffiti Rock.
Yes, now that I know. Yes.
Things had like big influences on me. I would love it. I told you earlier, Downtown Julie Brown. So definitely music videos. So I would love to see how you relate the hip hop with television, because I can't even. And, I remember when the first commercials were on, they were terrible. Terrible commercials that they used to have. Remember, the Pillsbury Doughboy would rap.
Yes,
would rap. Young for this, but I remember, and I know my generation remember. This is what?
Yeah, what is happening?
But that was how they were trying to, integrate it into the mainstream of commercials. I remember there was back in the day too, was all these commercials with break dancers in it and things like that. So I would love to see you writing with hip hop and television. That's going to be great. And then hip hop and movies too, even though you touched
the thing.
Right. You touched on it in the book too.
Yeah.
With
there's a lot. Yeah. I feel like there's so many more movies we need. There's so many that have been made, but when I think about a Queen Latifah, for me, I listened to her, thankfully, because I had, my mom listening to me on TV. I had my dad listening to her. But when I would get my hair done on Sundays, my mom and I would sit. That's one of like my other biggest childhood memories. She'd be doing my hair. We'd be watching Living Single. So Queen Latifah me initially was the actress. I knew she rapped, but when I was consuming her, she was Khadijah, and then she's in all these movies that I'm going to see. So I think that, just thinking about all of that and then working in late night and knowing the impact that Arsenio has had and, why we have the performances in the way. I just feel like there's so much there, which also lets me know that would take that book's going to take a while, a lot of research, a lot of interviews, but I just think that it would be really, really necessary because, again, to that point of impact, people have done a lot.
It's so funny that you said about late night too, because initially I always consider myself girl interrupted when I was working. But my goal was to take that, pump it up and turn it into a late night show. I wanted to be that woman on television late night. That was my goal. And then also I wanted the first hip hop awards. Like I was trying. This is prior to I think the Source Awards or maybe right around. But I wanted pump it up to do like an award show, and I have all of these different ideas, and they were just like, like okay, maybe. These are things that I wanted to do. So I can see where you're going with the book, and I think it's going to be excellent.
Thank you. I will hit you up when it's time because you guys are yes.
However I can support, I'm there. I'm there for you.
Thank you. And same to you because, I want the Pump It Up doc book, whatever. The moment I said that in the book, I was like, whenever she does it, I'll be first in line.
It's been a challenge. I don't know what made me do it, but I did document a lot of Pump It Up. I documented the 3 years I was there. Just, someone was holding the camera and they've got me, filming, and I have like over 100 tapes.
Yeah.
And, I've been pushing documentary, but it seems that I have to find balance between, even though I feel like the documentary Pump It Up could stand on its own. Everybody wants the whole, they want the whole pie.
They want to do.
Yeah, they want the whole pie, not a slice. And I'm like, but this is more.
But that's a pie too. Yeah.
Exactly. I feel like that's more important than, this is like, that's just a chapter that happened where this is the whole book. But I'm getting there. So I definitely want to pull.
We'll get it done. Yeah.
It's going to get done. It's going to get done.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, sister, for coming on. I just want to give you your virtual flowers.
Thank you.
Tell you how much I appreciate the work that you're doing. And thank you for creating this book and this safe space for us, the Gumbo. You guys, log on to the Gumbo. Okay. Get in there, get in those comments, and definitely pick up the book. First things first. I love it. I'm loving this cover.
Yes. Thank you.
My hard copy. I want it autographed from you.
Yes, I'm going to hit you up after because I got a whole bunch in front of me. That's what my laptop is balanced on too. So I'm going to sign one.
I know, right? Mine is on a book too. So definitely. Well, thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for the work. And I wish you continued success. And you definitely got to come back onto the frequency.
I'm so down.
Update us on what the new segment will be. Okay.
Yeah, and thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And again, thank you for all that you've done and continue to do. And congratulations on the frequency. This is amazing.
Thank you so much. Hold up that book one more time, please, so we can see that.
Yes.
First thing first. Okay,
Yes.
First thing first. Let's get it. Let's get it. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Okay, we out. Woo, hip hop. I love it. I do. And I want to give a special shout out to Nadirah Simmons for, writing that book, First Things First, and just coming on and talking about hip hop with us. And now when she gets to the next level, we're going to have her back and we're going to talk more and, keep it going. Thank you for tuning in on the frequency. Black Star Network.